A heartfelt welcome to the 2023 special edition of SIGHTGEIST, the SAXONY magazine. With Valentine's Day just around the corner, I'm going to take you on a trip along the Via Romantika, a scenic circular route through Saxony, starting and ending in Dresden. It leads to historic towns, many castles and palaces, beautiful landscapes, and shopping outlets of famous Saxon manufacturers. By my side will be Sima, strong, but on this occasion, silent. So, come along too and enjoy the ride. On our first leg, we will travel from Dresden to Görlitz, for many, Germany's most beautiful town. For our romantic getaway, we have decided to make Dresden our starting point. A dangerous strategy, since Dresden has so much to offer and is so beautiful. The Royal Palace is like a destination of its own. It combines stunning architecture, beautiful historic rooms, and amazing treasures of the Dresden State Art collections. Their museums are amongst the best in the world. This is literally a cool place, the Baths of the Nymphs. It is part of the famous Dresden Swinger, known for its elegant architecture and elaborate sculpting. The buildings are home to more museums, including the best porcelain collection in the world. Time for a break. This is the lovely restaurant Alte Meister, which means old masters. Very fitting, since it's located in a former artist workshop attached to the Old Masters Picture Gallery, which is truly amazing. So is this restaurant, which only serves fresh and seasonal cuisine. In Dresden, there's a fantastic collection of art from the Romantic period, when some of the best artists lived and worked in the city, including Caspar David Friedrich. the most famous German painter of that time. This is what has attracted us to the Albertinum, home of the new master's picture gallery. Dresden stretches for 30 kilometers or 20 miles along the Elbe River. The Dresden Elbe Valley is so beautiful that it used to be a UNESCO World Heritage Site. The best way to explore it is one of the historic paddle steamers of the Saxon Steamboat Company, we have heard. What a lovely ride! We have gotten off at Dresden-Pillnitz. This is the former summer palace of the Saxon kings. It was built in the chinoiserie style, imitating China. There's even a Chinese pavilion in the beautiful gardens. Not far from Pillnitz, there's Hosterwitz. Time for some music from the Romantic period. Between 1880 and 1824, Karl Maria von Weber, royal court conductor, spent 5 summers in the house of a vintner, which is a museum today. Here, he composed most parts of his operas, The Marksman, Euryanthe and Oberon, and his piano masterpiece, Invitation to a Dance. The pedal steamer ride was amazing, but here is another historic means of transportation which is even more unique. It is like a tram hanging on rails, connecting the Dresden districts of Loschwitz and Oberloschwitz. In German it is called Schwebebahn, which means floating train. Makes sense. Technology can be so romantic. Dresden has even dedicated a whole museum to the Romantic period. It is located in the Neustadt, meaning New Town, erected in the Baroque age on the other side of the Elbe River. Here, in the home of the painter Gerhard von Kügelen, artists, musicians, poets and philosophers gathered to exchange ideas and discuss the world. In the Neustadt district, we have also found the perfect place to stay the night. Right next to the Church of the Three Magi, the Bülow residence offers 5-star accommodation. The family-owned hotel is also a member of the Romantic Hotel Corporation. Just perfect. As you can see, it's really difficult to leave Dresden. Time to hit the road. We will travel along a circular route which is supposed to take us to some of the most romantic places and landscapes of Saxony. Dresden has been the perfect starting point, so our confidence is high. Leaving town, we cross the Dresden Heath, which covers 17% of the city's surface. Together with all the parks, it makes Dresden a very green city. On the other side is the town of Radeberg, famous for its Radeberger beer, which used to be the favorite beverage of the Saxon kings and is exported to many countries. We have now arrived at Ramenau Castle, built in the 18th century by the Chamberlain of Saxony's most splendid ruler, Augustus the Strong. His successors created a beautiful interior, first in the Baroque style, best represented by the exquisite Chinese room, and later in the neoclassical style. The mirror hall here is very popular for wedding ceremonies. Too late, maybe next time. Oops. We are passing Bischofswerda, the gateway to the region of Upper Lusatia. The town's name means the bishop's settlement on the water. Benno, Bishop of Meissen, later declared a saint, is said to have issued the town charter in 1076, and the bishops owned Bischofswerda until the 16th century. A small but beautiful place. This is so medieval. Bautzen has an upper town on a granite rock and a lower town along the Spree River, which has its source in this region and carries on to Berlin. The town is not only beautiful, but also famous for mustard. And it has a leaning tower, which offers great views. Bautzen is also the cultural center of a Slavic minority, the Sorbs, which has preserved its culture and language for more than 1,000 years. Everything in and around Bautzen is bilingual, and there's a Sorbian museum on the castle hill. But we have decided to get a taste of Sorbian culture by having a meal at the restaurant Vielbig, which means Little Walled. we have decided to take a walk in one of the many forests along the route. This is a special one though, for this was the site of quarrying for more than 150 years. Once there were more than 100 towering rocks of granite here, but most of them have been turned into building material. This trail is part of the Granite Quarry Museum of Königshain, littered with ruins and spread out machinery. Very atmospheric. For many, Görlitz is the most beautiful town of Germany. There are 4,000 buildings listed on the National Register of Historic Monuments. Görlitz is also located on the Polish border. Just a stroll across the Old Town Bridge will take us there. Famous movies, including the Academy Award-winning Grand Budapest Hotel and The Reader, have been shot in Görlitz. We are walking along the so-called Görliwood Walk of Fame, and we already feel like stars. One of the monuments of Görlitz is the Landskron Brewery, built in 1869 and still a production site today. In 2003, a new version of Jules Verne's Around the World in 80 Days was shot in Görlitz, starring Jackie Chan. While the town was redecorated to serve as Paris, the Landskron Brewery stood in for the Dogs of New York, commemorated here in the Jackie Chan lane. Now we understand the long-serving slogan of the brewery, always a pleasure. For our overnight stay, we have chosen another hotel of the Romantik Hotel Corporation, the Tuchmacher, which means cloth maker. Görlitz got very rich in the Middle Ages through the manufacturing and trading of cloth. The wealthy merchants lived and worked in a type of house that is unique to Görlitz, the so-called Hall House. Good night. We will continue along the Polish border to the Zittau Mountains, Germany's smallest mountain range. Coming from Görlitz, we have driven southwards along the Polish border. Now we have reached the convent of St. Marienthal, or St. Mary's Valley, which is the oldest of the Cistercian order in Germany in uninterrupted existence, going back to the year 1234. It is not only located in a secluded place, but also a very beautiful one. Zittau is located on the border of both Poland and the Czech Republic. Very beautiful and once known as Zittau the Ridge. It features many buildings in a neoclassical style, which is unusual for Saxony. But its greatest treasure is the two only surviving lantern veils in Germany, which were used to hide the altar during the times of Lent. In the Church of the Holy Cross, the Great Zittau lantern veil is on display. At the end of the World War II, it was cut up by Soviet soldiers and used as a cover for a makeshift sauna. But it miraculously survived and it was restored after German reunification. Thank God it's not time of Lent now, which gives us the opportunity to sample a local dish called Teichelmauke in the restaurant Alter Sack, which means old bag or old fart. In the local dialect, Teichel means small lake or pond, and Mauke stands for mashed potatoes. In a pile of mashed potatoes, a hollow is formed and it's filled with broth, which also includes beef cubes, vegetables and sauerkraut. Simple, but delicious. For our journey into the Zittau Mountains, we have chosen one of the narrow gauge trains in Saxony, still powered by steam locomotives every day. What fun! The line splits in the middle, with one track going to Eubin and the other to Jonsdorf. The Zittau Mountains are the smallest mountain range of Germany, characterized by distinctive rocks. We are headed for Eubin first, a very scenic place surrounded by former volcanoes. But the most distinctive side of Eubin is the Eubin Mountain, a sandstone monolith which looks like a beehive. Halfway up and sitting on the rock itself is the Church of Eubin, built in the 18th century. The beautiful interior is richly decorated with scenes from the Bible. The impressive ruins on top of the Eubin Mountains can be seen from far away. The German Emperor Charles IV built the Emperor's House in 1364, where he wanted to retire, and he also founded a monastery of the Order of the Celestines. In the 18th century, the Saxon court painter Johann Alexander Thiele was the first to paint the by then long forgotten ruins. Later, they inspired the painters of the Romantic period, like Caspar David Friedrich, Carl Gustav Carus and Adrian Zing. Very romantic indeed. We have arranged to spend another night with one of the members of the Romantic Hotel Corporation. This time, the Romantic Hotel zum Lindengarten in Jonsdorf. It is also very typical for the region because it is in so-called Umgebinde houses. This is a merger of German half-timbered architecture with Slavic log cabin structure. And the Umgebinde are the arches which support the roof. Very cute and unique. We know that something special happens when two cultures meet. Now we will head for the dramatic Saxon Switzerland National Park and its gateway, the town of Pirna. Coming down from the Zittau Mountains, we have reached Großschönau, another very scenic village, which looks a little different though. While there are hundreds of the typical Umgebinde houses, there are also old villas and factory buildings. Damask and later terry cross from Großschönau was for centuries considered to be the finest in Europe and supplied to many royal families. We want to learn more about it at the German Damask and Terry Museum. But since both products are still manufactured here, we also want to go shopping in the factory outlets. Hungry from shopping? We have come to Waltersdorf, a picturesque village which is part of Großschönau. A beautiful Umgebinde house is the home of the Quirlehäusel. Quirle, Whisks, was the name of the first band that Katrin and Peter founded. Today, they are a successful music duo in the folk pop vein and also the owners of this lovely place, which is also a hotel. We have arrived in Herrnhut, where the Moravian church was founded in 1722 by Nikolaus Ludwig, Count von Zinzendorf, and religious refugees from the Czech Republic. Soon they took up missionary work and had to leave their children behind in boarding schools. To comfort them, and as an exercise in geometry, a mathematics teacher had them make Christmas stars. In 1897, the current variety was invented, which could be disassembled and shipped easily. The Moravian stars conquered the whole world, and they are still made here today in Herrnhut. Time for shopping again. We love the rolling hills of the Upper Lusatia region and the picturesque villages with hundreds of Umgebinde houses. Oberkunnersdorf is particularly delightful, so we had to stop there. By the way, UNESCO agrees with us. It has awarded Oberkunnersdorf the title of honor, Village of Monuments. And our journey remains delightful as we're going west. Stolpen Castle tells a tragic love story. Anna Constantia, Countess von Cosel, had been a great love and favorite mistress of Saxony's most splendid ruler, Augustus the Strong. When she fell out of favor, she was imprisoned for the rest of her life here at Stolpen, which means for more than half a century. First, she lived in elegant quarters in the armory, but after fire, she had to move into St. John's Tower, which today is mostly called Cosel Tower. At times, she must have felt like Rapunzel. I guess her hair never grew long enough. Breathtaking, isn't it? This is called Bastei, which means bastion. It is part of a landscape which consists of bizarre rock formations, table mountains and dense forests straight out of Grimm's fairy tales. Unsurprisingly, this landscape has inspired many artists. In the 19th century, during the Romantic Age, two Swiss painters, Anton Graf and Adrian Zing, came here to paint and draw. It reminded them of their home country, so they sent letters home with greetings from what they called Saxon Switzerland. In spite of objections from the authorities, the name stuck, and this is today part of the Saxon Switzerland National Park. There's even a hotel and a restaurant on the Bastei, but unfortunately we have to carry on. The landscape was once formed at the bottom of an ocean. Saxon Switzerland is a paradise for outdoor activities. We have opted for a hike. In this region we have noticed a number of cute small towns. The most picturesque is Hohenstein, which means high rock, and that's where the castle sits. The church was built by the same guy who designed the famous church of Our Lady of Frauenkirche in Dresden. Nice! The Elbe River cuts right through Saxon Switzerland, where this town here can also be found. In 1920, Schandau became Bad Schandau, which some people would pronounce Bad Schandau, but it isn't bad at all. But just denotes a spa place. A hotel owner had already built the distinctive elevator which connects Bad Schandau with Ostrau. It was featured in Wes Anderson's Oscar-winning movie Grand Budapest Hotel. Another Academy winner was Stephen Daldry's The Reader, which featured the historic Kernich Valley Tram, which connects Bad Schandau with the Lichtenhain waterfall. Bad Schandau is clearly picturesque in every possible sense. Königstein Fortress is one of the largest fortresses in Europe, sitting on a mountaintop. Never conquered, it not only served as a military base, but also a safe haven for the royal family and their treasures, and also as a prison. There's so much to see here, and the views of the landscapes are spectacular. Königstein means King's Rock, by the way. When it comes to music from the Romantic age, nobody beats Richard Wagner, born in Leipzig and Royal Saxon court conductor in Dresden. In the summer of 1846, he retreated for 3 months to the village of Graupa, which is part of Pirna, and he went on long hikes. The beautiful landscape inspired him so much that he wrote Lohengrin here, his masterpiece and most successful opera. The farmhouse where he stayed in and the former hunting lodge across the road are now the Richard Wagner Museum. And we will also take a hike to the world's largest Wagner monument in the nearby Liebetal Valley, which has an otherworldly charm. We have come to expect a royal treatment from the members of the Romantic Hotel Chain Corporation. For the night, we have ended up in Pirna, the gateway to Saxon Switzerland, in the hotel Deutsches Haus, which means German house. Tomorrow, we will explore the town. But now, it is time to cuddle up. We will enter the Ore Mountains, a UNESCO World Heritage Site, and travel along the Czech border all the way to Seifen, Germany's Christmas village. Waking up in Pirna was a real treat. This town still really looks like on the famous paintings of Bernardo Bellotto, also known as Canaletto, from the 18th century. There's so much to discover. We both absolutely loved the Church of St. Mary, one of the most beautiful churches that we've ever seen. On the many houses from the Renaissance times, there are beautiful bay windows. There's even one with an angel and one with a devil. I know which one is mine.
Hey!
Yes, my angel. We find Wesenstein Castle a little confusing. Originally located on top of a rock, it grew in both directions. So, as we understand it, the stables are on the 5th floor, on top of the living quarters, while the banquet hall is in the attic. In the 19th century, Wesenstein Castle became a property of the royal family of Saxony, and it was spared from the effect of hard times. So, there are medieval parts, there are beautiful living quarters from the Baroque and the neoclassical times. There's a Catholic chapel and a Protestant chapel and a beautiful Baroque garden. Quite impressive. Driving up the scenic Müglitz Valley, we have entered the Ore Mountains, a region which has been shaped by mining since the 12th century in such a unique way that it was declared a UNESCO World Heritage Site in 2019. Here in Glashütte, the ore deposits were already exhausted in the 19th century. To the rescue came clockmaker Ferdinand Adolf Lange, who established a new industry. Today, there are a number of companies making some of the finest watches in the world. And their story is told here at the German Watch Museum in Glashütte. There's also a number of outlets where you can buy the watches. I know what I want. We consider ourselves lucky for having discovered this wonderful church in the small town of Lauenstein, which means Lion's Rock. Plain from the outside, it has amazing pieces of art inside, created with sandstone from Saxon, Switzerland in the Mannerist style. 16th century sculptor Michael Schwenke created the altar, the pulpit and the baptismal font, while his former assistant, Lorenz Hornung, the impressive epitaph of the von Bühnau family. Skin, metal, fabric, everything comes alive there. Most remarkable. There are numerous mining monuments in the Ore Mountains, so we have decided to take a look at one of them, the Altenberg Mining Museum. This house, first mentioned in 1577, contains a historic stamp mill powered by a water wheel. It was used to crush and process the ore. It is believed to be the only such facility in Europe still in existence, and it is kept in full working order and can be demonstrated. What a journey back in time! As we are traveling along the ridge of the Ore Mountains, which also forms the border between Saxony and the Czech Republic, we encounter an enchanting landscape and lovely houses, built in the typical Ore Mountain style, with wood-covered upper sections and shingled roofs. We have arrived in Seifen and we are hungry. Time for a typical Ore Mountains meal at the hotel Erbgericht Buntes Haus. A lot of restaurants in Saxony are called Erbgericht. It means hereditary court, and that seems a little odd. But in the old days, the owner of the pub was also often the local judge, and he could pass it on to his oldest son. We better behave. Buntes Haus means colorful house, and colorful it is. Seifen is famous for its wooden products and ornaments, which have been made here for centuries. You can't escape the fact, even here in the hotel. We are going to look out for the sunset now. From Seifen, we will carry on to Wolkenstein and a hotel of a very different kind. Time to explore Seifen, known as the German Christmas village. Most of the wooden items created here today are Christmas ornaments. The nutcracker and the smoking man were invented here. There are demonstration workshops, an indoor and an outdoor museum, and plenty of places to shop for all these lovely items. And there's a profession that is unique to Seifen. The wheel turner creates rough shapes of little animals from a wheel formed of wood. We have no idea how they do it. It is unbelievable. By now, we've succumbed to the charm of industrial heritage sites. The Seigerhütte here in Olbernhau, a town close to Seifen, goes back to the year 1537. It is a unique historic complex with 22 interconnected buildings. Hütte means smelter and Seiger means liquation, a method to separate silver from copper. Thanks to this, the Seigerhütte, owned by the royal family until 1853, was both a major supplier of silver and copper. From Olbernhau, we are traveling westwards towards Jöhstadt, driving through a scenery which is beautiful and serene. In Steinbach, we encounter the tracks of the Presnitz Valley Railroad, a narrow-gauge line which once connected Jöhstadt with Wolkenstein. It was torn down in the 1980s, but the stretch from Jöhstadt to Steinbach was rebuilt as a museum railroad. From Jöhstadt, we carry on to Annaberg-Buchholz. Annaberg-Buchholz, the queen of the German mining towns, as it used to be called, is a very charming place. St. Anne's Church really stands out. It's incredibly beautiful and it still looks like when it was built 500 years ago. From the same time is the unique depiction on the backside of the miner's altar, which shows how mining was done at that time. The miners even had their own church, which is now the home of a life-size nativity scene with characters based on real people. The Manufactory of Dreams is not a production site, but a wonderful exhibition of wooden items, mainly created in this region. By the way, Annaberg and Buchholz were rival towns, separated only by a valley, until 1945, when they were united against their will. But they seem to have gotten used to living together, just like us. Time for a special treat. Here at the restaurant Ratskeller zum Neinala, the traditional Our Mountains Christmas dinner is served all year round. The Neinala, which means 9 things. This refers to the 9 components of the dish. Only at this restaurant they are all served together on one plate. Each of the components stand for one good wish for the new year. You may want to eat the lentils and the dumplings, which stand for money and wealth. But we think it's more important that the red cabbage and the red beet stands for health and happiness. We will spend the night here, in nearby Wolkenstein. Remember? That's where the Presnitz Valley Railroad used to end. Right at the station, you find the Wolkenstein Train Hotel, which promises a very special experience for the night. So far, nothing has derailed our travel plans. Let's hope it will stay this way. We carry on in the morning. See you. Going downhill all the way, we will aim for Meißen, Saxony's oldest town. Like everyone, we like the story of Robin Hood and Maid Marian, so romantic, just like ours. What Robin Hood is to England, Karl Stülpner is to the Ore Mountains. While the Robin Hood story is only a legend, Karl Stülpner really existed. Born here in Scharfenstein, Karl Stülpner was a talented poacher who supplied many families with meat and furs in hard times, which made him a hero of the common people. In 1795, Stülpner and like-minded men even dared to lay siege to Scharfenstein Castle. From the tower of the castle, you have a wonderful view of the scenic Chopau Valley. The town of Chopau is known to enthusiasts as the place where once the largest motorcycle factory in the world could be found. A nice exhibition on its history is located here at Wildeck Castle. Built in the 12th century, it was remodeled into a Renaissance-style hunting lodge in the 16th century. The keep was kept. It is known as Fat Henry, and it is said to have fallen instantly in love with the new staircase tower known as Slim Margaret. They still haven't gotten together. I guess sometimes that's the better option. Hey. Ouch! Grete Wendt and Margarete Kühn were amongst the first batch of women to be allowed to study at the Dresden Academy of Applied Art. Together, they founded a company for wooden products here in Grünhainichen. In 1925, Grete Wendt created a design classic, an angel figurine with green wings and 11 white dots on each of them. Together, Grete Wendt and her sister-in-law Olli Wendt created more than 2,500 unmistakable designs which still form the backbone of Wendt & Kühn today, due to their timeless quality. So adorable. Augustusburg Castle is not called the crown of the Ore Mountains for nothing, dominating the whole area. A lot of its original Renaissance appearance has been preserved. However, the biggest attraction is the Motorcycle Museum, which is considered to be the finest in Europe. But why here? Remember the nearby motorcycle factory in Chopau? The name giver was not Augustus the Strong, but an earlier Augustus who ruled Saxony for 33 years and was married to his wife for 37. He even built a castle in her name too. Don't even dare to ask. The world's first miniature park opened in England in 1929. However, it came into existence by accident as a result of a marital dispute. Women. Ouch! When it was opened, preparations for a miniature park here in Öderan had already been underway for 5 years. In the Ore Mountains, there had already been a tradition of so-called mechanical mountains, which depict landscapes but also the underground sections where the mining process is shown with many detailed mechanical parts. The idea behind the Kleinerzgebirge, or Little Ore Mountains, was to create an outdoor version of it. Today there are more than 200 buildings and lots of figurines, all made from wood. Freiberg is a most beautiful town. We have learned that the first silver was found here in the 12th century, which led to mining and the transformation of the Miriquidi, which, as you might remember, means dark forest, into the Ore Mountains. Schloss Freudenstein, where Augustus was born, features the most beautiful collection of minerals in the world. The collector was the same lady whose collection of wooden items can be found in the Manufactory of Dreams in Annaberg-Buchholz. And the cathedral is one of the burial sites of the royal family. Most impressive. Some parts of the former moat has been turned into lakes. At the back of Freudenstein Castle and on the banks of one of these lakes, there's the Schwanenschlösschen, which means Little Swan Castle. Naturally, it is not a castle, but a popular and definitely very cute restaurant. Its motto suits the ambience, the good old days. Heading north, we have reached Nossen, where we have encountered another favorite of the painters from the Romantic age, the Alzella Monastery Park. The once mighty Cistercian abbey from the 12th century ceased to exist after the Reformation had been introduced in 1539, but it also was one of the burial sites of the royal family, the Wettins, who ruled Saxony for 829 years. So in 1794, a mausoleum was erected, and the remaining buildings and ruins were embedded in a landscape park. It's a wonderful place to contemplate life and to get inspired, artist or not. We have reached Meißen, and we will call it a day. Located on the castle hill, the Hotel Burgkeller, which means castle cellar, seems like the perfect choice. It is yet another member of the Romantic Hotel Cooperation, and it offers fantastic views of the town from its panorama terrace. In the old days, it was the office of the tax collectors. So I hope we won't have nightmares tonight. We will make time to explore the Saxon wine region, where wine has been grown for more than 850 years, before heading back to Dresden. After the German emperor had conquered this region, he had a castle erected on what is now the castle hill of Meissen. Fast forward. In 1471, brothers Ernest and Albert, who ruled Saxony together, commissioned an architect to replace this castle with Germany's first palace, built solely for representative purposes and without any defense mechanism. Influenced by French architecture, Arnold of Westphalia developed a new architectural style characterized by net walls, curtained windows and spiral staircases. Later, it served as Europe's first porcelain manufactory. In the 19th century, it was restored and beautifully decorated with scenes from Saxon history, including these couples, Saxon rulers and their wives. Or is it rulers and their husbands?
Next to the palace is Meissen Cathedral, Saxony's oldest church and a masterpiece of Gothic architecture. It is yet another burial site of the royal family. After the worldly and clerical power had been established, a town developed around the castle hill as the first in Saxony, not named after the mighty Elbe River, but after a small creek called Meisa. Before it got called Saxony, the whole region was also known as Meissen, but then the town got sidelined and remained small but beautiful.
We have heard that the wine restaurant Vinzenz Richter is one of the most romantic places not only in Saxony but in the whole of Germany. Definitively true. It has been family owned since it opened in the year 1873. Before, it had been used as the clothmaker's guild hall. It may seem that the owners have gone overboard when it comes to the decoration of the rooms. But what may appear at first sight as pure kitsch is actually completely authentic, all from the vast collection of antiques that the family owns. Just incredible. They even own the letter announcing that the European hard porcelain has been invented, addressed to Augustus, this time Augustus the Strong.
In 1708, the alchemist Johann Friedrich Böttcher and his team of scientists and mining experts had come up with the right formula. Since 1710, the porcelain has been produced in Meissen, first in the Albrechtsburg Palace and since the 19th century in a custom-built manufactory. Visitors like us can visit the demonstration workshops and the museum and shop at the store and outlet. A fantastic experience. Unsurprisingly, Meissen porcelain is still considered to be the finest in the world.
We have come to Proschwitz, a village above Meissen. From the vineyards, there's a spectacular view of Saxony's oldest town. They are owned by a real prince and a real princess. We are so excited. Maybe we will run into them. The Lippe family belonged to the ruling families of Saxony. Here, they were expropriated after World War II. And Dr. Georg Prinz zur Lippe had to work very hard after German reunification to buy back the castle and some of the vineyards. His wines are highly regarded. And the wine store offers a cozy setting for wine tastings. Traveling further along the Saxon wine route, which runs from Pirna, where we have been, past Dresden, Radebeul and Meißen, all the way to the village of Diesbar-Seuslitz. It basically ends here, at the castle, which is a private property. However, the castle park is open to the public and so are the passages through the vineyards. And there's the castle church. It is yet another creation of the architect of the Frauenkirche, or Church of Our Lady in Dresden, George Bär. Naturally, it's decorated with wine elements.
Leaving the Saxon wine route, we are passing through Großenhain, which means large grove. Yet another pretty small town. The highlight for us was the Church of St. Mary, with its unusual T-shape and its beautiful interior. This time, George Bär was not the architect. This honor belongs to Bär's cousin, son-in-law, student and successor, Johann George Schmidt. Very close family ties.
Rarely have we seen such a beautiful sight. Moritzburg Castle looks like it was built just for Instagram pictures or for lovers like us. The former hunting lodge of the Saxon rulers is located on an artificial island in the middle of an artificial lake, surrounded by woodlands. The interior is famous for its leather wall coverings from the Baroque times and a unique feather room, which is decorated with millions of bird feathers. It is one out of only 2 feather rooms in the world, the other one being in the so-called Little Pheasant Castle, a small Rococo palace on the same grounds. Next to it, there is a lighthouse, because they wanted to reenact sea battles on the lakes. So funny, isn't it? In Moritzburg, fine horses have been bred for many centuries.
Since we really enjoyed our train ride in Zittau, we don't want to miss the opportunity for another trip on a narrow-gauge steam-powered railroad. This one has a funny nickname, Lößnitzdackel, meaning Lößnitz Dachshund. It will take us from Moritzburg through the Lößnitz hills down to Radebeul, a suburb of Dresden. Looks like our journey is coming to an end.
Let's drink to that. Wackerbad Castle in Radebeul goes back to the Imperial Count August Christoph von Wackerbad, minister under Augustus the Strong. He wanted to retire in style at this place that he called Wackerbad's Rest. Unfortunately, he didn't have much time to enjoy his retirement home with his beautiful terraced garden and the vineyards. Today, this is the Wackerbad Castle Saxon State Winery. They don't only make great wine, but also wonderful sparkling wine using the bottle fermentation method. What else can we ask for? Cheers!
Wanting to know more about the Saxon winemaking tradition, which goes back more than 850 years, we have come to another winery in Radebeul. But not just any winery, but a former royal winery called Hof Lößnitz. It goes back to the year 1401. In 1650, a summer house in the style of a hunting lodge was added, which is the Saxon Wine Museum today. Plain from the outside, it has an opulent and well-preserved interior in the Mannerist style. The banquet hall features a coffered ceiling with 80 depictions of Brazilian and African birds, painted by Dutch painter Albert Eickhout. Really opulent.
We cannot believe it is over. We have returned to Dresden and chosen another nice hotel for our last night. Gewandhaus means Cloth Makers Guild Hall, and that's what the building used to be. It was built between 1768 and 1770 as a late example of the Dresden style of Baroque architecture. We will retreat now and enjoy our last evening. On the other hand, we might want to extend our stay. What a lovely trip it has been. What a lovely trip indeed. Thanks for tagging along. Now you have discovered a great way to explore the eastern half of Saxony on your own. Life is a journey too, and along the way we encounter many people. So for my parting words, allow me to quote one of my favorite singers, James Taylor. Shower the people you love with love. Take care and see you again.